Once upon a time, a husband and wife lived next to a high garden wall. The garden belonged to a witch and was full of the most beautiful flowers and vegetables that anyone had ever seen. The wife was expecting a baby, and she developed a powerful craving for the Rapunzel plants, a type of lettuce that grew in the witch's garden. Day after day, she grew paler, until her worried husband asked what was wrong. "If I cannot eat some of the Rapunzel from the garden next door, I fear I may die," she told him. That night, the husband climbed over the wall and stole some Rapunzel for his wife. It was so delicious that the next night, she begged him to get more. As he was picking the plants, the witch appeared. "How dare you steal from my garden?" she cried. The terrified man explained about his wife's craving. The witch's expression softened slightly. "Take what you need," she said, "but in return, you must give me the child when it is born." Desperate to save his wife, the man agreed without thinking. When their beautiful daughter was born, the witch appeared to claim her, naming her Rapunzel after the plant her mother had craved. Rapunzel grew into a lovely girl with beautiful golden hair that had never been cut. When she turned 12, the witch took her deep in the forest and imprisoned her in a tall tower with no doors or stairs, only a single room at the top with one window. When the witch wanted to visit, she would stand at the bottom of the tower and call, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel would then throw her long hair out of the window, and the witch would climb up using the golden hair as a rope. Years passed, and Rapunzel grew into a beautiful young woman with hair over 70 feet long. She spent her days singing to pass the time, her voice so lovely that the birds would stop to listen. One day, a young prince was riding through the forest when he heard her song. Enchanted, he followed the sound until he reached the tower. He watched as the witch called for Rapunzel to let down her hair and saw how she climbed the golden braid. The next day, when the witch had gone, the prince called in the same way, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." When Rapunzel lowered her hair, he climbed up to her window. At first, Rapunzel was terrified, having never seen a man before. But the prince spoke gently, explaining how her singing had captivated him. Soon, they were talking like old friends. The prince visited Rapunzel every day when the witch was away, and eventually they fell deeply in love. He asked her to marry him, and she accepted. They made a plan for escape. The prince would bring a skein of silk each time he visited, and Rapunzel would weave a ladder. But before the ladder was finished, Rapunzel accidentally revealed the secret. "Why are you harder to pull up than the prince?" she asked the witch one day. "You wicked child," cried the witch. "I tried to keep you from the world's evils, and this is how you repay me." In her rage, she cut off Rapunzel's beautiful hair and banished her to a remote wilderness. That evening, when the prince called, the witch lowered Rapunzel's cut hair. When he reached the top, he was horrified to find the witch instead of his beloved Rapunzel. "You will never see her again," the witch declared. In his despair, the prince jumped from the tower. He survived the fall, but thorns scratched his eyes, leaving him blind. For years, the prince wandered through the forest and neighboring kingdoms, living on berries and roots, always searching for Rapunzel. Meanwhile, Rapunzel lived alone in the wilderness, giving birth to twins, a boy and a girl, and caring for them as best she could. One day, as the prince wandered near Rapunzel's dwelling, he heard a familiar voice singing. Following the sound, he found Rapunzel with their children. When they embraced, Rapunzel's tears of joy fell on his eyes, and his sight was miraculously restored. The prince took Rapunzel and their children to his kingdom, where they were married and welcomed with open arms. And as for the witch, she remained alone in her garden, surrounded by her beautiful plants, but with no one to share them with. And so, my little listener, even in the darkest tower or the deepest forest, love can find a way. Hold those you love close to your heart, for they are the true magic in this world.